I believe that we are into a phase of transition on the indices where, the Sensex, for example, is trying to just fluctuate around that 59,000 mark, plus or minus 1,000. There are a lot many factors which have changed in the last 2 weeks. US markets corrected. Crude, has corrected, I think 7% or 6% in the last couple of days. Dollar index is back about that 109, plus mark for itself. So there are a lot many moving parts which are actually shaping up, the global markets as well as global asset classes. So it will be very, premature to try and anticipate which side the markets would correct or trend. So as of now, I would probably look out for a broad range on the index. And in this last 3-4 days of the heightened volatility, the markets have also shown that possibly 17,000, 17,200 would be a tough, support to be broken on the downside. And on the other hand, 18,000 mark would be a difficult resistance to be taken out as well. So we could be in for a broad 700, 800 point consolidation for the next 7 to 8 days for the indices, and that would be possibly 58,000 mark on the Sensex and 60,500 as the upper end of the range for Sensex.
All right, and that's the view coming in on Sensex. But with that, let's kickstart with the query segment. For all of them who've tuned in for the first time, this is the show where we answer all your stock-related queries. So do write into us on the number that will be flashing on the top of your screen, or you can log into Twitter, Facebook, or even YouTube, where we take your queries live. You need to mention your name, the stock that you're asking the query on, and do mention the time frame that you intend to hold the stock, and also if in case you've already bought it, at what levels have you purchased the counter. So with that, let me kickstart with the first query that I have, and it's coming from Ajay Kunal, and this one is for you. He wants a technical view on Deepak Nitrite with a 1-year view.
So I think it's an excellent stock. It's going through a tough time for itself. It's trying to find its mojo back, but I think it's struggling to break past about the 200-day moving averages. But I think, such kind of breakouts would take some bit of more time. But once the stock confirms a breakout, it would just be a matter of time the stock, gets into the thick of uptrend. So it's a tough phase for Deepak Nitrite going on. Possibly another couple of months, I would expect the stock to remain sideways. But from a 1-month perspective, I would look out for, buying this kind of a dip or a correction on Deepak Nitrite, and would possibly have a target of at least 20% on the upside. So maybe a 2,400, 500 could be a potential target range with that kind of a time frame.
Right. Coming to you, Vikas, Shravan is writing from Warangal and he's asking whether to buy Tata Steel and Tarsons for the long term.
Yeah, both the stocks are fundamentally good quality stock. As far as Tata Steel is concerned, although this fluctuates with the market sentiments, the days when the markets are good, the stock does well, particularly when the metal sector is doing well. But I think the correction which we have already witnessed in the stock from its highs, pre-split, post-split it has done well. I think one can look at Tata Steel from a medium to long-term point of view. I feel a metal stock should bounce back. Things would get to normal, and the export duty which the government has imposed on steel exports, I think the government should consider reducing that or removing that. So I would advise the investor to buy into Tata Steel at the current levels. And as far as Tarsons is concerned, that's again a fundamentally good company, solid fundamentals with strong financials. And I think this stock also deserves a place in the portfolio from a long-term point of view. So one could look at buying into that stock on every declines.
Okay, this next query is also for you, Vikas, and this one is from Dheeraj, and he wants to know about DLF. Does it make sense to buy DLF right now for the longer term? We've seen the sharp rally in the realty counter. Do you think this price is good for DLF?
The stock has really done well over the past few days, and most of the other realty stocks also have done well. The company is seeing marked improvement in its performance, and they've taken steps to reduce their debt also of late, and that's auguring well for the stock. But for a long-term investor, I think one could wait for the stock to come down a little bit. I think 5 to 10% correction from here would give a better opportunity for long-term investors to buy into the stock.
Right, Kunal, coming to you now. Sachin from Bangalore has written to us. He's asking an expert's opinion on buying Lemon Tree at current market price.
I think it's a good price to buy the stock, provided you have a slightly longish term kind of a time horizon. The hotel space or the so-called reopening space, I think has done fabulously well from the 2020 lows. Lemon Tree, for example, was almost at, I think, 15 rupees or 16 rupees March 2020, and from there it's now almost at 71 plus levels for itself. So it's done reasonably well, and so is the case with the other stocks like Chalet Hotels, Indian Hotels, etc. So these stocks as a group has done pretty well for themselves. I would continue to be bullish on Lemon Tree, and with a time frame of at least 1 year plus, would look out for the stock hitting those levels of 90 plus, which is the all-time high for Lemon Tree.
Okay, this one is from the tech space. Vikas, Tripta Aluwalia is asking a question on Intellect Design. She already has about 166 shares that she purchased at a level of 810 rupees per share. Wants to know what should she do with this one.
No, again, a good quality company, but we've seen massive correction in most of the IT stocks. The problems with them is with regard to the attrition rate, the wage hikes which they've undertaken, and which has led to tremendous pressure on their margins. I think 1 or 2 quarters more, this kind of thing or this kind of scenario would prevail, and these stocks may not perform in the near term, but Intellect Design, the investors bought it at a very high price, is sitting on some losses. But I think at the current levels, it would make sense to hold on to the stock. I think as and when these problems get sorted out, these stocks would start eroding again. So my advice would be to hold on to the stock at the current levels.
Right, Vikas, coming to you again. Sunil is writing to us from Muscat. He's asking for an advice to buy United Spirits or Breweries for a long term. Which one out of the two?
I would prefer United Spirits, which trades with the symbol McDowell. So it's currently quoting close to around 815, 820 rupees. I think it's also corrected from its highs, and from a valuation perspective also this looks good. So I would, out of the two, I think if one were to choose, I think one should go with McDowell at the current levels.
Kunal, this one is for you, and this one is from Gauri Gupta, and she wants a short-term target, like for 15 days is what she's mentioned, and this one is for, 1 second. Yeah, it is for Bajaj Finserv.
So I think for Bajaj Finserv, I would expect the stock to get into I would say a bit of a corrective mode. 17,540 I think is where the stock is trading. But for the next 2 weeks, I would expect possibly 18,300 as the higher end of the resistance. That's where I believe the stock should take a bit of I would say a pause for itself. And on the downside, I think 16,000 mark, which was the low, the stock I think had made on Monday or Friday, if I'm not wrong. I think that would be a major support. So if you're looking at a 15 days target, I think say 18,250, 300 could be a better possible target for Bajaj Finserv.
Coming back to you, Kunal, T.S. Ananta is writing to us from Madurai. He's holding SBI Life 750 shares at 1,328, and he's asking for a short-term prospect.
So I think SBI Life has done reasonably well. I think it's one of the best performing insurance stock, at least over the last 3-4 months. It was one of the first ones to actually break past about the all-time high levels. Even the the reaction post the quarterly results for SBI Life over the last 2 months has been very attractive and very positive. So I think it's a good stock to hold on. Now the only catch is you have to have a dual strategy. One in terms of averaging opportunity whenever the stock gets into a corrective phase, and assuming if it comes closer to the 1200 mark, 1200, 1220, which is the first major gap the stock has created, that's a classical entry point or an averaging opportunity. And the second would be holding period, because after such a kind of a strong up move, we expect the stock to remain sideways for at least a couple of months and then start to move up higher. So patience as well as averaging, both these strategies are very essential for SBI Life.
All right, Kunal, let me give you a break then. I have a lot of queries lined up for you, but I will take this one to Vikas. Vikas, KJ Singh has written to us, wants to know about Coal India, a long-term perspective on this one. He bought this counter a long time ago, a few years ago rather, at a price of around 260 rupees per share. How does the future for Coal India look like to you?
Now, as far as this stock is concerned, it has not been able to create wealth for shareholders. If you can rightly track this stock and buy it at the bottom and sell at the rise, then that's it. That's the kind of thing which one needs to do as far as Coal India is concerned. It's a good dividend play. It has currently also a dividend yield of close to 7%. But as far as creating long-term wealth is concerned, this stock has not been able to do that. So I would advise the investor to exit from here, and if he's wanting to create long-term wealth, should look for some other opportunities.
Right. Coming to you, Vikas, Trivani has written to us from Gwalior. She's holding Natco Pharma 100 shares at 640. She's asking for a long-term view.
No, again, Adhiraj, it's a good quality company. It's a company which specializes in oncology medicines or oncology related drugs. The recent quarterly results were pretty good, but they have a case legal battle going on with some US company, and because of that, the stock has not been performing. So we'll have to wait for the results of the or the outcome of that case, which the company is fighting with against a US company. But at the current levels, I think one can maintain a hold, and I would recommend a hold at the current levels.
Okay, Kunal, this one is from from Sudarshan, and Sudarshan wants a view on Canara Bank. He wants to know whether it's good to sell call 270. He wants your view on this one.
I'm bullish on Canara Bank, and I'm not sure which strike or which expiry you're looking out for. If it's September expiry, I think 270 call could be a bit of a risky stretch. So you may probably be looking out for a premium of, I think, 1 rupee or 2 rupees. I think if I'm not wrong, that's my estimate, that the call would be trading out in that kind of a premium. So it's very risky to try and just write a call for 270 for getting that 1 rupee, because the PSU banking stocks are into a big uptrend. Now, in case if there is some data point or event which comes by into a positive side for the PSU banking name, you may actually see stocks like Canara Bank move up 5 to 8% on just about a single day, and that would make the stock come very closer to your strike price, and that would probably cause a lot of M2M selling pressure to you. So I would suggest an avoid on 270 call, just as a plain vanilla strategy which you have executed.
Coming to you, Vikas, Anand is writing to us from Gurgaon, and he has invested 200 shares at an average price of rupees 490 in Nerolac and 10 shares in Asian Paints at 3,300. Now he's asking which is a better stock for a medium and long term.
I think one should go with the leader. I will recommend Asian Paints to be held on to. It's the leader of the paint industry, and the stock has really created humongous wealth for its long-term shareholders. And I think there is no reason to disbelieve that this will not happen in the next 5 to 10 years. So I think Asian Paints is a good stock to be with.
Next one is coming from Nino, and Nino is holding Surya Roshni 100 shares at a price of 490 rupees per share. Kunal, he wants a technical outlook on the counter for the medium term.
See, I think the last 2 weeks have been quite fruitful for Surya Roshni, because I think from the 2 week back lows, the stock has bounced off from 350 to almost 500 at current level. So other than that, if you would ask me, I would have said just about a hold for Surya Roshni. But at current levels, with the momentum coming back, I think it's a good time where you can look to average further as well. And with this momentum coming back in the last 2 weeks, the stock opens up rooms on upside, say closer to 550, even for 600 levels. So 20%, 30% up move over the last 2 weeks could probably result into further 20 to 30% up move over the subsequent next 1 to 2 months. So have that kind of a time frame, as well as a potential for 550 to 600 as an immediate target for the stock.
Right. Coming to you, Kunal, Avinash is writing to us from Pune. He's asking for a view on Birlasoft. He's bought 200 shares at 380 rupees, and he's asking whether he should sell or average.
I think you should just hold on to the existing quantity. Don't look to average at current level. So I've been very vociferous about my opinion about mid-cap IT names, that these IT stocks would probably get into a time-wise correction. Maybe another 3 to 6 months of a pause could be in line. So don't be in a hurry to try and average the stock and proportion more quantity. At the same time, don't be impatient enough to try and exit the stock just because these stocks have corrected. So it's patience which is required over here for these mid-cap IT names. I would suggest possibly an averaging opportunity over the next 2 to 6 months if the stock happens to just about consolidate at this 320, 350 range.
Right. This next one is for you, Vikas, and this one is from Indumati, and Indumati wants to know about which capex, machinery or auto ank mid or small cap stock is good for 1 year to the longer term, and she would like to invest at least in 2 of them.
Yeah, Sharil, the 2 stocks which come to my mind, one from the auto component space, the stock which I've been bullish on from a long-term point of view, it's Sona BLW, which currently quotes at around close to 520. There was recently a block deal through which some investors exited, and that is the reason why the stock came down so sharply recently. But I think it's a great company if one wants to play the EV space. Then this is the company to be with. They've got 50% plus revenues coming from the EV segment already, and they're a preferred partner for Tesla in India, and they've got 30 more customers whom they cater to. So I think this stock would do well in the long term. So from the auto component space, I think Sona BLW would be a good bet. And the other space he was asking about was the capex space. From there also, I will recommend a mid-cap stock by the name of AIA Engineering, which I like, which I've been recommending since quite some time from pretty lower levels. The stock has really done well. But from here on also, I think we could see substantial upside. So that would be another stock which one could look at.
Right, Vikas, coming to you, we've got a fan of yours writing to you, Puneet. He's mentioned it twice, how he's a very big fan of Sethi, sir. So he's asking you about India Bulls real estate at 87.5 levels, and he's asking for a short-term view.
First, thanks to Puneet. And as far as India Bulls real estate is concerned, the stock has really done very badly over the last 1 year or so. But there is an impending merger with the Embassy Group. And the markets are awaiting for that outcome. And once that happens, then I think the stock will get re-rated. I find the merger to be very beneficial for shareholders of India Bulls Real Estate because then Embassy Group coming into the picture would lead to re-rating of the stock, and they would have an India-wide presence. Currently, they are present in western part of the country, Mumbai, Pune, etc. And once they merge with Embassy, then they would be present in the fast-growing cities of Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, and NCR. So, and plus they will have an equal exposure in residential as well as commercial projects. So I think at the current levels, he should certainly hold. And if the market's sentiments turn positive, then I think in a very short term, we could see levels of 100 rupees on the stock.
Vikas, just to add to that, even Seema had a query on India Bulls Real Estate and she's purchased at 140 rupees per share. Will this sort of recommendation apply for her as well? Stay put with her holding in India Bulls Real Estate?
At the current levels, I feel there is an upside, so one should hold on to the stock.
But with that, we'll actually slip into a break on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. Hang in there, our experts and viewers will be back, so don't go anywhere.
Making money, it's not impossible. It could be a challenge.
See, Nikunj, you are a very seasoned market observer, and therefore you may hit the nail on the head.
I think you have always kept the focus on the retail investor, and I think it's again a very apt, very good question.
Nikunj, first of all, thank you so much. You are one person I've always enjoyed interacting throughout last 15-20 years.
You know, the problem on coming on your channel is that you already know everything. I just heard your introduction. And what can anybody add to that?
Stock markets is a numbers game, and it sometimes does come across as one-dimensional. But what people don't see is that these numbers, when strung together, tell a story. There's no really black or white. It very much seems to be a work in progress of triumphs and mistakes, greed and fear. And I bring you that story behind the numbers in action.
The personal finance show that helps you achieve all your financial dreams.
This show gets you everything that you need to know about your money, how to earn more, invest smartly, and spend while getting the best bang for your buck.
Welcome back to ET Now's Buy Now, Sell Now. As we continue with our queries segment, Vikas, coming to you. Suresh is writing to us from Hyderabad. He's asking, he's holding BPCL 2,000 shares of 340. He's asking for a long-term purpose.
Adhiraj, as far as BPCL is concerned, I do not advise staying with BPCL because This stock normally is very much dependent on government policies, the price of crude, and there are talks of divestment which has not come through. So I think if there are several umpteen number of opportunities elsewhere in the market, I think he should get out the stock and should shift to some other sector or stock from a long-term point of view.
Let's move on. This next query that I have is coming from Maleshwar, and Kunal wants to know whether he can buy Adani Total Gas at current market price for the short term.
Well, I would suggest an avoid. I think the stock has done excessively high over the near term. The only concern for buying the stock at current levels is, of course, momentum is on its side, but then the risk reward is not in your favor. So if you're buying stock at current levels of say 3,600, 640, levels, then your stop loss is as deep as maybe 3,250, 300. That's a 10% stop loss, and for a potential reward of maybe 10%, 15% on the upside. That's a very skewed kind of a risk reward for a stock like Adani Total Gas. So I would suggest an avoid.
Right. Coming back to you, Kunal, Subrata Mukherjee is writing to us from Kolkata. He's wanting to buy TCS for a short term as well as a long term. He's asking for your advice.
So I would suggest to buy TCS, assuming if the stock corrects towards the 3,000 mark. So TCS at 3,000, and if I can potentially add even Infosys at the sub 1,400 level. These are the two stocks and two levels which you should be watching out for. I think that's a much better level to buy these stocks rather than at current levels.
Okay, this next one I have is from Shailaja, and this one also is for you, Kunal. Hindalco is the counter that she's asking about. Can she look to buy at current market price?
I would suggest a wait or a hold at current levels for Hindalco, not to buy or initiate a buy at current levels. I would suggest a better entry point would be closer to 400 mark. I think the stock would probably have this tendency of giving you a one leg of correction and trying to retrace 50% of the recent gains which Hindalco has seen. So I think 400-ish, 404 could be a good level to buy Hindalco.
Right, Vikas, Aarti is writing from Delhi. She wants to buy BLS International or Trent for a year, and she's asking for an entry price.
Now, as far as entry price is concerned, it's very difficult to tell that. But I think both the stocks are good quality companies. One should keep it on radar, and on any days when the markets fall or on a say a cyclical weakness which we witness in the markets for any reason, I think these both the companies can be bought on declines, and I think they should do well in the medium to long term.
Vikas, this one also is for you, and this one is from Sandeep, and it's a bit of a longish query, so I'll take it as he's written to us. He's writing from Tirupur, and he's asking if Titan is a good stock to hold for the long term, say like for 4 to 5 years, or is there any other stock in this sector or other sector that he can look at for this particular time frame? He's saying that he already holds TCS, L&T, Ultratech, ITC, HDFC, Reliance and Sun Pharma, but this particular investment that he wants is for his wife's investment portfolio, so he wants some suggestion on that.
Yes, Cheryl, I feel Titan is a great stock to be with. It's done really well over the last 5-10 years, and I'm sure it will continue to do well. They are a leading watch company, leading jeweler in India, and they've forayed into several other products, and they're doing extremely well. Although the valuations look expensive, but for long-term investors, I think one need not worry. And so, since he's already invested into Titan and wants to hold on to it for 4 to 5 years, I think it's a good stock to be with. And as far as his other stocks are concerned, they are all good quality companies, and they're I think the returns would probably replicate the returns of the Nifty and Sensex, on which I'm extremely bullish. So I don't think he has to worry and just stay put with his investments.
Right, coming to you, Kunal. Ramesh is writing to us from Hyderabad. He's asking for a perspective on Reliance Industries for a short-term period. He's also asking how the trends are going to be for the particular stock in the coming months to come.
So I think it should be bullish for Reliance Industries. I don't sense a major breakdown. In fact, in the worst of the times as well in terms of the news flow and the events, the stock still managed to hold that 2350 mark. That was almost a month and a half out back, and it managed to bounce back around that 2,700 plus levels where the stock has been settling. So 2,600, 700 has been the broad trading range for Reliance Industries in the last 1 to 2 weeks. So I think it's a good chart. It's established a a strong base or a support at the 2350 mark. So any dips closer to that 2350 mark or on the way towards that 2350 mark should be taken as a good opportunity to buy.
Right. I hope, Nick, this also sorts out your query on Reliance Industries that you asked us on YouTube. This one also is for you, Kunal. This one's for Manish, and he wants to know, out of the stocks that I'll mention, which one should he buy for the short term? One is Nelco, the other one he's asking about is Mazagon Dock, and the other one he's asking is about Tejas Networks.
So I think Nelco has done exceptionally well. I think it's on a circuit over the last 2 or 3 days, if I'm not wrong. So maybe not best price to try and buy the stock. It's in high momentum, but then potentially the stock has done reasonably well in the last 1 week. So maybe a bit too late to try and chip into the stock. Mazagon Dock could be something to watch out for. I think the stock is at 404, 405 levels, the last I had seen. So it looks to be attractive. And the entire space of Mazagon Dock, Cochin Shipyard, Garden Reach, shipbuilders, I think these stocks have done reasonably well. And every time when the market consolidates, these stocks come out into a breakout zone for themselves. So I think it's a good proposition to buy Mazagon Dock and such other names.
Right. Prashant is writing to us, Kunal. This is a longish question. Now, Prashant is holding L&T at entry levels of 1,840, 66 shares. Now, he's asking whether he could book partial profits and move to any of the following stocks. The stocks that he's given is IDBI Bank, Tata Chemicals and Adani Wilmar.
So for L&T specifically, I would not suggest a booking out at current levels. So over the last 2 months, I've been very bullish on L&T and specifically mentioned that the stock should be on the course of breaking past about that 2000 mark. It could just be a matter of maybe another month and a half from current levels. So it's done reasonably well in the last 2 months, and I would still believe that possibly another 100 rupees on the upside could be in the offing for L&T. In case if you're looking to switch to some other name, I would suggest a better alternative from the list of stocks which you've mentioned. I think IDFC First Bank would actually be a better potential stock from current levels. 48, 49 is where the stock is trading currently. So I would suggest that if you're looking to switch, whenever L&T books out or you book out from L&T at 2000 odd levels, I think IDFC First Bank should be a first preference.
Okay, we did talk about Bajaj Finserv at the start of the show, but Devi Das has a view, wants to know about Bajaj Finance, and because no doubt she's asked this question to Kunal, but she wants a view on the 5-year horizon, so I would rather ask this question to you. On Bajaj Finance, do you think that one can look to enter right now for the next 5 years? How does the counter look to you?
No, again, Cheryl, a great company which has created humongous wealth for long-term shareholders. The stock has corrected from its recent highs of close to around 8,100, 8,200 odd levels. But at the current levels, I think one can start looking at the stock. And on every decline, this stock should be aided. If one has a 5-year horizon, then I don't think there is anything to worry as far as this stock is concerned. It will continue to do well and give consistent and stable returns to investors.
Right, coming to you now, Kunal. Anish is writing to us from Trivandrum, Kerala. He's asking for a short-term future of IEX.
So I'm not too bullish on the stock. I think the news flow which had happened for IEX almost a week and a half out back, I think has impacted the stock price trend. So, possibly the stock may consolidate for another maybe 2 to 3 weeks. And typically we've seen that whenever a stock, gets hit by a certain sort of a news flow, at least for 1 or 2 expiries is where the stock remains sideways till the time you see fresh participation and fresh trader interest coming back into the stock price. So if you're in from a very short-term view and looking out for a futures trade, I would suggest an avoid at current levels.
Okay, this one is from Sagar. This one is also for you, Kunal. Lakshmi Machine Works is the counter that he's asking the query on. He's saying he's bought 1,000 shares at around 3,000 rupees per share. He had the target of 9,000 and 12,000, which has been achieved. Now, he has a trailing stop loss of around 10,500 and he's looking for targets of 15,000. Do you think it is achievable?
I think it's a good strategy. You should continue to hold on to Lakshmi Machinery.
Coming to you, Vikas, Rajni has written to you, again, another big fan of yours. He has bought Zomato at 62 levels and his expected target is 69. He's asking for suggestions.
No, as far as Zomato is concerned, post the recent carnage which the stock had witnessed, we've seen the stock recovering. And the investors bought at a price of close to 62 rupees, I think, which is a good level to have entered into this stock. And I think his target of 69 should be achievable. and should be achieved very soon. So I think at the current levels, one should hold on to Zomato.
Kunal, this one is from Jaya Krishnan, and Jaya Krishnan, okay, before I take Jaya Krishnan, let me ask what Leon has asked, and Leon is asking, is there any suggestion on any two stocks that he can look to invest in for a period of 2 to 4 months only?
Well, so one of the stocks which we discussed earlier, Banskow Dock is something which you can look out for at 405 levels. That's one stock which I believe could do pretty well for itself. IDFC First Bank as well, I think, is something which I believe is very attractive. So both these names is what you can look out for.
All right, and with that, let's kickstart with the rapid fire then. And the first question is from Jaya Krishnan. Vedanta shares at 283 rupees per share. Wants to know what should he do, sell, hold or average? If average, what's the level, Kunal?
I would suggest to hold on.
Right. Sukhmani is writing to us. He's asking about Chennai Petroleum, bought at 312 levels. Should she hold or exit since it has corrected for the last 4 to 5 days? This for you, Vikas.
No, again, at the current levels, I think one should hold on to Chennai Petroleum.
Okay, Partha wants to know about Zenza Tech. Kunal, bought at 232 rupees per share. Can I wait for 6 months or exit?
Wait for 6 months.
Right, Rajesh is writing to us, and he's asking for, he's holding 120 shares of L&T, and he's asking whether to switch or take another stock after booking loss of 1.3 lakhs.
No, you should certainly hold on to L&T. A great company to be for long term.
All right, this one is coming from Mr. Bhatia about Nippon Life, purchase at 300 rupees per share. Wants to know whether hold or switch from this counter. Kunal?
I would suggest a hold, and if possible, you can look to add maybe an HDFC AMC as well at current levels.
Right, Vikas, Abhijit Chakraborty is writing to us. He's asking for the future prospect of ABFRL. He's also subscribed to the LIC IPO. So he's also asking whether you think it will recover.
As far as ABFRL is concerned, it's in the news today because GIC Singapore is putting in around 2,200 crores for 7.5% stake. For that, they've got CCI approval. I think it's a clear hold. Very good company. And as far as LIC is concerned, again, at the current levels, the stock is on hold.
All right, Kunal, this one is for you. Manish is asking this on behalf of his friend. 100 shares of Axis Bank and Lakshmi Organics, holding since the last 5 months. Wants to know what should he do? Continue to hold on for the next 3 months?
You can continue to hold on Axis Bank as well as Lakshmi Organics. For Axis Bank, but I believe a better alternative or a slightly faster moving stock could actually be IndusInd Bank.
Right, again to you, Kunal. Chandan Chen is writing from Hubli, Karnataka, holding 700 shares of Ashok Leland at 120. Is he asking to hold?
I think you should definitely hold. I think the stock has made a fresh, all-time high levels today. So I think it's worth holding on to the stock, which is riding on high momentum.
All right, and with that, we come to the end of the rapid fire as well as the query segment. Thank you so much, Vikas, as well as Kunal, for joining us on the show, giving your view on Z, as well as resolving our viewer queries. And viewers, for those who we've not answered the queries today, don't be disheartened. We'll be back tomorrow, so do write in to us then. But for now, we'll take a break on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. But there are some amongst us who are truly the amazing change makers and have worked tirelessly to build a better nation. And we at Times Network call them Amazing Indians. Over the years, Amazing Indians has unearthed some of India's most inspirational people and social impact creators who, with their efforts, have lauded the nation on many platforms. And Times Network, once again, is all set to celebrate these unsung heroes for contributing towards building a better India.
Those from the perfect home to early retirement and everything in between.
Real estate, everyone knows, is an asset that Indians absolutely love, maybe even more than gold.
Join us every weekday at 5 p.m. on the ET Money Show. Investment made easy. Only on ET Now.
With each passing day, this market is becoming better. And with each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money.
ITC's credo is nation first, sab saath bade. I would like to live this philosophy in whatever business we do.
A better nation.
We continue to be very well diversified across product lines. The general health of the company continues to be very strong. We are a publicly listed company. We have access to capital. We have great brands.
No, beautiful question. Yeah, I can tell you, we believe that we'll be able to reduce costs.
ET is one of my favorites in the world. I'm a fan.
This is a very insightful question that you asked, Nikunj, and almost seems like you were listening in on the deliberation the committee was doing. And you're absolutely right.
And if this cup of coffee is costing you 25 rupees right now, after 5 years, it may cost you 100 rupees. Predicting the market or predicting the short-term move in the market, well, that's always very easy. Predicting it right and making money, it's not impossible. It could be a challenge.
See, Nikunj, you are a very seasoned market observer, and therefore you may hit the nail on the head.
I think you have always kept the focus on the retail investor, and I think it's again a very apt, very good question.
Nikunj, first of all, thank you so much. You are one person I've always enjoyed interacting throughout last 15-20 years.
You know, the problem on coming on your channel is that you already know everything. I just heard your introduction. And what can anybody add to that?
Stock markets is a numbers game, and it sometimes does come across as one-dimensional. But what people don't see is that these numbers, when strung together, tell a story. There's no really black or white. It very much seems to be a work in progress of triumphs and mistakes, greed and fear.
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now. Just let's take a note of the flash on the bottom of the screen that the government has extended lower customs duty on edible oil right up till March of 31st. And this is